Once upon a time, in a dusty slum at the edge of Buenos Aires, a little boy was born into poverty. His family had no money, no comfort, no luxury, just love, and a small, tattered football. No one could have guessed that this boy, barefoot, hungry, and full of fire, would one day stand at the center of the world's biggest stadiums. With millions chanting his name, Diego Armando Maradona. This isn't just a story of fame. It's a story of struggle, of magic, of what it means to rise from nothing to everything. But here's the twist. While this story is about Maradona, it's also about you. Because as you follow his journey, step by step, you'll be learning the English language in a way that textbooks can't teach you. In this story, you will learn many useful phrases, day-to-day slang, and new vocabulary. But more importantly, you'll be moved, challenged, and inspired. You'll discover real expressions, like against all odds, powerful idioms like rise to fame, and natural phrases like in the spotlight, used in real-life storytelling, not stiff grammar drills. This video is designed with you, the English learner, in mind. The pace is calm, the words are clear, and every expression will be explained in a simple, relatable way. So if you've ever struggled with English, if you love football, or if you just need to believe that comebacks are possible, then stay with me. Because this isn't just a language lesson. It's a life lesson. And it all begins once upon a time in Villa Fiorito.
Chapter number 1. Early Life and Background. Once upon a time, in the dusty outskirts of Buenos Aires, in a place called Villa Fiorito, a baby boy was born into the heart of struggle. His name was Diego Armando Maradona. He wasn't born into privilege, not into power or prestige. He was born into a family of hardship, humility, and hope. Villa Fiorito was no paradise. It was a shanty town, barely stitched together by tin roofs, crumbling walls, and muddy paths. The streets weren't paved. They were patched with dirt and dreams. His home, barely standing, had no running water, no electricity, and no real insulation from the brutal summers or biting winters. But, in that tiny home, there was something far more powerful than comfort. There was love. Diego's parents, Don Diego and Dona Toda, didn't have much, but what they gave their children was priceless. Kindness, warmth, and a belief that no matter where you come from, you can still reach the stars. At the age of 3, Diego received a gift that would change everything. Not a bicycle, not a toy car, but a ball, a cheap plastic football, that he would carry with him everywhere, through alleyways, across rooftops, and through the thick dust of Villa Fiorito's playgrounds. When he didn't have a real ball, he used a grapefruit. When there was no grass, he played on gravel. When the other kids went home, Diego stayed, practicing, twisting, turning, trying, failing, trying again. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the fastest. But there was something electric about the way he moved, the way he danced with the ball as if it was part of him. At school, Diego struggled. He wasn't a top student. But on the pitch, he was a genius. His teachers didn't see it. The neighborhood kids did. They watched in awe, as the barefoot boy with the wild curls did things none of them could explain. By age 8, he had joined a local team. They called themselves Los Cebolitas, the Little Onions. Strange name, but they were anything but a joke. With Diego leading them, they went on an unbeaten streak of 136 games. The local press started talking. Coaches took notice. And scouts began whispering, "There's a kid in Fiorito, you've got to see him." But even as attention grew, the boy never forgot his roots. He still lived in the same house, still wore hand-me-downs, still came home to cold nights and candlelit dinners. What made him different wasn't just the skill. It was the hunger, the need to escape, the fire in his chest. To prove that greatness doesn't care where you come from, it only cares how far you're willing to go. Vocabulary: shantytown, a deprived area made of makeshift homes, usually without basic utilities. Example: Diego was born in Villa Fiorito, a shantytown on the edge of Buenos Aires. Unbeaten streak, a series of games without losing. Example: Los Cebolitas had an unbeaten streak of 136 matches. Hand-me-downs, clothes or items passed down from older siblings or family. Example: Maradona wore hand-me-down jerseys until he turned professional. Chapter number 2, Rising Career and Early Challenges. By the time Diego turned 10, he was no longer just a neighborhood prodigy. He was something else. Something rare. A boy who could see space where others saw chaos. A boy whose feet moved like poetry, on dust and dirt. That's when he joined Los Cebolitas, the Little Onions. A youth team with heart, talent, and now just see, a secret weapon. With Diego on the field, they didn't just win. They dominated. For 4 years, Los Cebolitas went undefeated. 136 games. No losses. No flukes. Just magic. Repeated again and again. People started whispering his name beyond Villa Fiorito. Coaches, journalists, even national scouts. Argentina was watching. And then, something happened. At 15 years old, Diego Maradona stepped onto the field as a professional footballer. A boy, still smaller than most men around him, walked into the stadium with Argentinos juniors. The crowd didn't know what to expect. But then, he touched the ball. One touch, one turn, one run, and everyone watching knew this was different. This was the beginning of something unforgettable. But success never comes without pressure. Fame never arrives without a cost. As his talent grew, so did the spotlight. Interviews, attention, headlines, all for a teenager who still lived at home, still gave his salary to his parents, still carried the weight of his entire neighborhood on his back. By 1981, he made a dream come true. He signed for Boca Juniors, the club he had adored since childhood. The blue and gold jersey, the chants of La Bombonera. It all became real. He wasn't just a star now. He was a symbol. He played with fire in his veins and joy in his heart. Fans loved him. Defenders feared him. But the world? It was just beginning to notice. Then came the call. From Europe. Barcelona. The mighty Spanish giants. They wanted Diego. And they were willing to pay a fortune. It was one of the biggest transfers in football history at the time. And Maradona took the leap. But dreams don't always go as planned. The years at Barcelona were filled with tension. Yes, he scored. Yes, he dazzled. But he also suffered. From injuries, illness, and conflict with management. He clashed with coaches and fought hard tackles on the pitch. One brutal foul shattered his ankle. Another sidelined him for months. And behind the scenes, pressure mounted. He was no longer the boy from the barrio. He was Diego Maradona, the $1 million man. And with fame came expectation. Every step was scrutinized. Every misstep magnified. But even through the pain, the flashes of genius never disappeared. His touch, his vision, his sheer unpredictability. It was all still there, just buried under pressure, and waiting for a new home, a new beginning, and it would come soon. Vocabulary. Prodigy, someone, especially a young person, with extraordinary talent. Example: Diego was a football prodigy, dazzling everyone before age 10. Fluke, something unlikely to happen by chance. Example: Los Sabelita's winning streak wasn't a fluke. It was earned. Carried the weight. To feel deep responsibility. Example: Maradona carried the weight of his whole community on his back. Scrutinized, examined or judged very closely. Example: Every move Maradona made in Barcelona was scrutinized by the media. Chapter number 3: Peak Success and Career Breakthrough. Sometimes, the world needs the right person, in the right place, at the right time. For Diego Maradona, that place was Napoli. In 1984, he left Barcelona behind and arrived in southern Italy, Naples, a city full of soul, struggle, and dreams. Napoli wasn't a superclub. Far from it. The team was mid-table, underfunded, and constantly overshadowed by the big northern teams, AC Milan, Inter, Juventus. They needed a miracle. And Diego? He needed a home. When he stepped onto the field at Stadio San Paolo for the first time, fans wept. Not out of sadness, but out of hope. A kind of spiritual hope. As if a hero had come to save them. And save them. He did. In just a few short years, Maradona transformed Napoli into champions. In 1987, they won their first ever Serie A title. The city exploded with joy. Streets were flooded. Murals of Diego appeared overnight. He wasn't just a player. He was a saint. A king. A symbol of pride for the working class. In 1990, he did it again. Another league title. Another celebration. And in between, a UEFA Cup, a Coppa Italia, and unforgettable performances that lifted the spirit of an entire generation. But nothing, compared to what he did in 1986. The FIFA World Cup. The world was watching. All eyes on Mexico, where Argentina marched toward glory. In the quarterfinals, they faced England, a politically charged match, just 4 years after the Falklands War. And in that game, Diego Maradona delivered 2 of the most famous goals in football history. The first. Controversial. Unforgettable. He jumped, reached out, and tapped the ball into the net with his hand. The referee didn't see it. The English protested. And Maradona simply smiled. After the game, he said it was scored. A little with the head, and a little with the hand of God. And just like that, a phrase was born. The world was stunned. But then, just minutes later, he redeemed himself. He picked up the ball near the halfway line, spun, and ran. 1 defender. 2, 3, 4, 5. The goalkeeper. And then, the goal. The crowd erupted. Commentators screamed. The moment became legend. It was voted goal of the century. In one match, Maradona showed the world his light and his shadow, cheating and brilliance, arrogance and art, all wrapped into one impossible man. Argentina went on to win the World Cup. Maradona lifted the trophy. His face, shining with tears and triumph, was broadcast into millions of homes around the world. From the dusty alleyways of Villa Fiorito to the very top of the world. He had done it. He had conquered the game. But more than that, he had conquered doubt. Vocabulary. Mid-table. A team that ranks in the middle of the league, not near the top or bottom. Example. Napoli were a mid-table team before Maradona arrived. Overshadowed, made to seem less important. Example: Napoli was often overshadowed by northern Italian clubs. Redeemed himself to make up for a mistake by doing something good. Example: Maradona redeemed himself with the goal of the century. Conquered to win over something difficult or powerful. Example: he conquered the world and his own fears. Chapter number 4: Personal Values. Giving back, an impact beyond fame. Diego Maradona was never just a footballer. He was a force, a contradiction, a man who lived between legend and shadow. On the pitch, he was divine. Off the pitch, he was deeply human. For every stadium that roared his name, there were quiet moments where Diego gave back, where he remembered where he came from. He never forgot Villa Fiorito, even after the trophies, the money, the fame. He still spoke with that same street-born accent. He still wore the scars of poverty like medals of honor. He didn't rise to forget the poor. He rose to remind them they could rise too. In Naples, he wasn't just their captain. He was their hope. The working class adored him because he was one of them. He spoke to their pain. He ran with their fire. And around the world, he used his platform to speak out for the voiceless, the overlooked, the broken. He supported children's charities, donated to schools, partnered with organizations that used football to teach peace and unity in places torn by conflict. He was named a UNICEF ambassador and stood proudly for causes that aligned with his core: justice, equity, and freedom. But Diego was also deeply flawed. He battled addiction, fought legal battles, and made choices that brought criticism, even scandal. He was messy, complicated, impossible to fit in a box. Yet, even in his darkest hours, people still loved him. Because in Diego, they saw themselves. Not perfection, but passion. Not sainthood, but survival. He could be fiery, unpredictable, even self-destructive at times. But he could also be tender, generous, and deeply loyal. He gave millions away, not because of headlines, but because he believed in people. He believed in second chances, just like the ones life had given him. Maradona's impact stretched far beyond football. He showed the world that genius can come from the gutters, that brilliance doesn't need polish, and that a broken man can still be a beacon. He reminded us that even heroes bleed, but they can still heal others. And maybe that's why his story resonates so deeply. Because in every one of us, there is a bit of Diego. A spark, a storm, a dream, waiting to be believed in. Vocabulary. Contradiction, something that contains opposing elements. Example: Maradona was a contradiction, both saint and sinner. Messy, complicated, emotionally or morally unclear. Example: his life off the field was messy, but it was real. Beacon, a symbol of hope or guidance. Example: even in pain, Maradona became a beacon for millions. Second chances, opportunities to try again after failure. Example: he gave to others the same second chances life had given him. Chapter number 5. Learn English from the journey. Now that you've walked through Diego Maradona's life, through the alleys of Villa Fiorito, the fire of Napoli, and the glory of Mexico '86, let's take a moment to learn from his journey, not just about football, but about language, and how English can express everything from passion to pain, from rising to redemption. Here are 10 powerful expressions that appeared in Diego's story, and how you can use them in your own English conversations. Number 1. Against all odds. This means succeeding even when everything seems impossible. Example: Maradona won the World Cup. Against all odds. Use this when you overcome something that was stacked against you. Say it slowly. And let it hit. Number 2. Rise to fame. This means to become famous. Example. He rose to fame at a young age. You can also say, rise to power, or rise to greatness. It shows motion, elevation, progress. Number 3. Face the music. This means accept the consequences of your actions. Example. After the Hand of God goal, he had to face the music from critics. It sounds poetic, but it's used often in everyday speech. Number 4. Turn the tide. This means to change the direction of a situation, especially a bad one. Example. His goal turned the tide of the match. It paints a picture, like the ocean shifting in your favor. Number 5. Comeback kid. This means someone who returns to success after a fall. Example. Maradona was the ultimate comeback kid, rising again after every fall. Use it for yourself when you've bounced back. Number 6. Off the pitch. This means outside of the football field, in life. Example. Off the pitch, he was just as passionate about people and justice. You can adapt this. Off the stage, off camera, etc. Number 7. In the spotlight. This means under public attention, often intensely. Example. From the age of 15, he was constantly in the spotlight. It's about pressure, performance, and eyes watching you. Number 8. Fall from grace. This means to lose respect, fame, or honor after being admired. Example. His addictions led to a fall from grace, but never from our hearts. There's drama in this phrase. Use it sparingly. It's powerful. Number 9. A fire in his chest. This means an intense inner drive or passion. Example. What separated Diego was the fire in his chest. It's a metaphor, but an emotional one. And yes, it's poetic. Number 10. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. A modern motivational phrase that defines Maradona's life. When you fall, fail, or break down, remember, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Say it slow. Say it with belief. It's English, but it's also truth. Chapter number 6. Quiz and reflection. Now, let's pause. Take a breath. And ask ourselves, what have we really learned? This isn't just a story about football. It's about grit, passion, mistakes, redemption, and the words that help us tell those stories. Let's see how much you remember. Quiz time, and here's 5 questions. I'll ask you 5 simple questions. Try to answer them before I do. Ready? Number 1. Where was Diego Maradona born? Was it Madrid? Rio de Janeiro? No. He was born in Villa Fiorito, a poor neighborhood on the edge of Buenos Aires. Number 2. What was the name of his first youth team? They were called Los Cebolitas. The Little Onions. Strange name. Legendary team. Number 3. Which club did he lead to its first ever Serie A title? That's right. Napoli. He didn't just win. He transformed the club. And the city. Number 4. What were the 2 famous goals he scored against England in 1986? The first, the Hand of God, and the second, the goal of the century. 2 goals. In the same match. 1 controversial. 1 unforgettable. Number 5. What does the idiom, against all odds, mean? It means to succeed even when everything is against you. And that is Maradona's story in 1 sentence. Reflection. Think about it. What did you take away from this journey? Was it the vocabulary? The drama? The voice of a boy who became a king? Or maybe it was the realization that greatness isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being resilient, and rising again, against all odds. Motivational close. Maradona's journey shows us that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be fearless. He made mistakes. He fell hard. But he got back up, again and again. And so can you. Whether you're learning English, starting over, or chasing a dream that seems too far, remember this. You are stronger than your failures, louder than your doubts, and more powerful than your past. So keep going, keep learning, and never, ever, stop believing in yourself. Because just like Diego, your comeback story might be the one the world's been waiting for. If you've found this story inspiring, and it helped you grow in your English journey, please consider supporting this channel by just like and subscribing. So happy learning!